Good morning. Welcome to today's meeting of the Government Affairs Committee for the 2025 legislative session. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter,
Present.
DeLong,
Present.
De Silva,
Here.
Edgeworth, Flanagan, Gallant, Goulding, Gurr, Hunt, Jackson, Karras, Kasama, Wynn, Chair Considine.
I am present. Please record Assemblymember Flanagan as present when she arrives. Welcome to the audience in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. I would like to begin with some housekeeping measures. First, please silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. Turn off the microphone each time you are done speaking. If you are providing handouts, please ensure that hard copies are available for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted to our committee manager by 9 a.m. yesterday for our committee members. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's position. I encourage committee members to ask questions and engage with the material presented. If you have any follow-up questions, please flag them for me so we can ensure we balance our time effectively during today's meeting. And committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not interpret that as a sign of disrespect or inattention. With that, let's get started. Today, we will hear two bills. First, we will hear Assembly Bill 115, which authorizes certain state buildings to be used for certain purposes, and then AB 128, which creates the Office of the Public Records Ombudsman in the Executive Department of State Government. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 115. To present this measure, we have Assemblymember Karras. Please go ahead when you are ready.
Thank you, Chair. Everyone, I'm just a little short, so I thought I'd get a taller chair. And here we go. Thank you, Chair Considine and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Assemblymember Venice Karras, representing Assembly District 10 in Clark County. I will be presenting Assembly Bill 115, which authorizes certain state buildings to be used for certain purposes. As we continue through the fourth week of the legislative session, it can be difficult to find time to enjoy the beauty and history that surrounds us here in Nevada's capital. I hope many of my colleagues have taken the opportunity to explore the Capitol complex with its many walking paths, towering trees, and impressive memorials. These grounds offer a welcoming space for Nevadans to appreciate Carson City's historical architecture and outdoor spaces. However, I believe there is more we can do to make the Capitol complex a space that can be used and appreciated by the public. With AB 115, I aim to open the possibility of hosting events at the Capitol building. I will now provide a brief summary of the bill. Specifically, AB 115 authorizes the administrator of the State Public Works Division, in coordination with the museum director of the Nevada State Museum, to rent or lease rooms in the Capitol building for the purpose of holding an event. The administrator will charge a fee for such events, and the money received for this purpose will be deposited in the state treasury, accounted for in the state general fund, and the profit used only for maintenance of the Capitol building. Additionally, this bill creates an exception to NRS 331.010, thus allowing the sale or distribution of alcoholic beverages for events held at the Capitol building. To conclude, I urge your support for AB 115. This bill allows our Capitol building to be utilized for events, which offers the dual benefit of increasing the potential use of this impressive and historic space, while also creating a path for additional funds to help support the building. Thank you for your consideration of this fun yet important measure. At this time, I will do my best to answer any questions.
Committee members, do we have any questions? I just have a quick one. I noticed Section 1, Sub C, any additional funding does not revert to the State General Fund. Is there a reason that you added that?
Denise Karras for the record. The reason is I wanted, the purpose of this is to use the beautiful old assembly space and the Supreme Court space for smaller events. But the money that would be profit, I want to go to the preservation of the building itself. That's the whole purpose.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Kasama.
Thank you, Chair. I guess I was kind of surprised when I looked at this that we haven't been having special events at all in there, and so it's been part of our code that we couldn't have any private events in the Capitol?
It had to be by special permission from the governor himself, and so this, I'm sorry, for the record, Assembly Member Denise Karras, sorry about that, Chair. So this kind of makes it where you can plan an event well in advance, and also the exception allows the use of alcohol in the space, which is something that is not allowed in governmental buildings.
Follow-up? And so who's going to be in charge of the events as far as, can anybody request it, a private organization? Would it only be elected officials? How might that work?
Denise Karras, for the record. This is a public building. The Capitol is a public building. It will be open to the entire public. So if someone wanted to have a small wedding or any kind of event, it's not limited to just public officials.
It sounds lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Jackson.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. So with the drinking and with the events, will those be during legislative hours, or will those be like after hours? Does it specify when the drinking occurs?
I'm sorry. Assemblymember Denise Karras, for the record, drinking all the time. Assemblymember Jackson.
Okay, our next question is from Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Chair. You might not be able to answer this question, but it sort of opened up more questions for me, is that we've got this wonderful building in Las Vegas that's really being underutilized. Does that fall under the same rules as the Capitol building? And in this journey of bringing this bill forward, did you look into it to see if we could actually be renting out the spaces in Las Vegas as well?
Assemblymember Denise Karras, for the record. I hope you're talking about the new ledge building down south, because the old one cannot be used for anything. The new building, this bill specifically states the Capitol building at this time, but if anyone wanted me to amend it to include more buildings, I'd be more than happy to. But I know that here at the during session, there's a lot of events of the size that could be held in the Capitol. And the space, as you could see from the slideshow, the old assembly area is just gorgeous. I just like people being exposed to the old architecture, and why not use our building for the benefit of itself, to take care of itself. The old Senate chambers, we probably can't use because they've set up historical displays in there, but think about waiting for an event to start, and you could walk along the picture gallery, and then you could walk through the old Senate chamber and get a little history while you wait for your event.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. In your presentation, you said the profit would be retained. that implies that there's going to be expenses that are going to be deducted from a certain fund. Do you actually mean that all gross receipts would go into an account?
Thank you, Assemblymember Venice Karas. Thank you, Assemblymember DeLong. I know you're much more of a businessman than I am, and yes, I believe it would be gross receipts. They will be, and I know this is a hearing in government affairs, but if I could take a brief moment, Chair, to go over a little of the financial aspect of it. The idea is you charge for an event, and then there will be expenses. We have to have additional legislative police. There's cleaning of the event space and various other things. And so whatever is obtained through the fee above that is what would go to the maintenance of the building. So if that's a gross receipt, thank you for that.
Okay, any other questions from committee members? Okay, we have one more question from Assemblymember Goulding.
Hi, thank you. Have you given any thought to any security concerns by opening the building up more widely than it is currently?
Assemblymember Venice Karas, for the record. Yes, as I just stated, there'll be additional legislative police and other measures taken so that nothing happens to anything in the building and that proper care is taken while people are at an event.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We will now move to testimony on AB 115. Testimony can be provided in person in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone. Further instructions for providing testimony on a bill can be found on the agenda. Each person has 2 minutes to provide testimony. And first we will hear testimony in support of AB 115 here in Carson City. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Considine, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Taylor Avery, and I'm the Manager of Political Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of Assembly Bill 115. The organization believes the public should have access to public buildings, especially those which have a historical meaning. We appreciate the bill's provision requiring those funds to go towards the maintenance of the Capitol building, meaning those funds won't come from taxpayers. We'd like to thank the bill sponsor for bringing the bill forward, and thank you for your consideration.
Is there anyone else here in Carson City that would like to testify in support of AB 115? We'll move to Las Vegas. Is there anyone in Las Vegas who wishes to testify in support of 115? Seeing no one in Las Vegas, VH, we will. Apologies, my microphone is going in and out. So AVH, if we can go to you for testimony in support of AB 115. Thank you.
If you wish to testify in support of AB 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Again, please press star 9. Chair, we have no callers for support of AB 115 at this time.
Thank you so much. We will now move to testimony in opposition to AB 115. Is there anyone here in Carson City who would like to testify in opposition to AB 115? Seeing no one approach in Las Vegas, is there anyone who would like to testify in opposition to AB 115? Seeing no one going to the table, AVH, do we have anyone on the phone lines in opposition of AB 115? AVH, just checking in if we have anyone on the phone lines.
If you wish to testify in opposition of AB 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you so much for that. Back to Carson City. Is there anyone who would like to testify in neutral to AB 115? Seeing no one approach in Las Vegas, anyone wishing to testify in neutral? And seeing no one approach there, AVH, we're back to you. Anyone on the phone lines for neutral for AB 115?
If you'd like to testify in neutral for AB 115, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral at this time.
Thank you so much. If I can bring the sponsor back up for any final remarks. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. I hope you'll consider this. I think it's going to, oh, of course, I love that. Assembly Member Venice Karras, for the record. My apologies. And thank you, Vice Chair. I just would like to say thank you to all of you on the committee for your consideration of this bill. I'm hoping soon that we can have an event there. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will now close the hearing on AB 115 and open the hearing on AB 128, which creates the Office of Public Records Ombudsman in the Executive Department of the State Government. To present this measure, we have Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. Welcome back to your previous Government Affairs Committee, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, I'm Assemblymember Selena Torres Fawcett, representing Assembly District 3 in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's great to be back in the hardest working committee in the Nevada State Legislature, the Assembly Committee of Government Affairs. Anybody that was here last session understands that joke. I will be presenting Assembly Bill 128, which creates the Office of Public Records Ombudsman in the Executive Department of State Government. First, I'm going to go ahead and start with some background information, and then I will do a breakdown of the bill as it stands right now. But before I begin, I'll just be very honest. This is a piece of legislation that we worked on during the interim, and I think still needs some work. So I look forward to continuing to work with stakeholders in the last couple days since the hearing was scheduled. I have reached out to the Press Association as well as local governments to hear their concerns, and I do believe that there's still work for us to do in regards to the appointment process for this role, the requirements for the ombudsman, and some of just like the logistics of the processes that would be in place. And I look forward to continuing to work with those stakeholders on this piece of legislation. The bill before you today is a recommendation from the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Government Affairs. I'd like to begin by providing the brief background information to explain the issue that this bill seeks to address. Transparency is a critical component of government. The public should be aware of how governmental decision-making, and a crucial element of that is access to public records. To this end, Chapter 239 of the NRS, which covers public records, begins with a legislative finding and declaration that states, in part, that the purpose of this chapter is to foster democratic principles by providing members of the public with prompt access to inspect, copy, or receive a copy of public books and records to the extent permitted by law. In reality, however, public records practices sometimes fall short of this ideal. During the February 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Government Affairs, we heard from the Nevada Open Government Coalition on issues relating to public records access in Nevada. This presentation provided examples of the barriers individuals may experience when attempting to access public records, including extremely long waiting periods, access denial, legal hurdles, and more. We have watched several of these issues play out over the years as well. For example, in the wake of the 2023 CCSD altercation between a district police officer and a high school student, the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU of Nevada, engaged in lengthy correspondence with CCSD, which was documented. And I'm sure that many of you all saw that play out in real time on our news. This correspondence included allegations of record denials and multiple court appearances before body-worn camera footage of the incident, and nearly 2,000 pages of records were released. To help address and investigate these disputes, some states utilize a public records ombudsman. During that February interim meeting, a representative from NCSL explained that about 20 to 25% of states use such a position, and sometimes it's called something different, but they have a position that is used. States like Maine, Maryland, and Wyoming, for instance, have established an ombudsman position to receive complaints and mediate disputes concerning public records, among other duties. Such a position offers a pathway for individuals who have run into roadblocks when attempting to access public records, providing the potential for mediation and investigation in a more timely manner. It is for this reason that AB 128 is so critical. So now I'm going to walk you through the sections of the bill as it stands right now. So Section 2 creates the Office of the Public Records Ombudsman, appointed by the governor as an independent agency in the Executive Department of State Government. It also specifies that the ombudsman may employ personnel to assist in carrying out his or her duties within the limits of the available funds. Section 3 outlines the duties of the ombudsman, which includes establishing a mediation program to facilitate the resolution of disputes, investigating complaints, and providing trainings and education on public records. This section also grants the ombudsman access to books and records, as well as the ability to issue subpoenas concerning records and other evidence. Section 4 outlines the process for a person to file a complaint with the ombudsman. Upon receiving a complaint, the ombudsman shall notify the governmental entity of the complaint, offer the parties the opportunity to resolve the complaint through mediation, and prepare a report with the results. If either party declines mediation or it fails, the ombudsman may initiate an investigation, and the governmental entity may provide the ombudsman with a statement or information concerning the complaint. The ombudsman must issue a final determination no later than 90 days after initiating the investigation, which may deny the request to release the book or record or require the requester to be permitted to inspect or copy the book or record, or waive or reduce fees charged for providing a copy of the book or record. Finally, Section 4 and 6 outlines actions that may be taken if a party is aggrieved by the ombudsman's determination. Section 4 specifies that either party may seek judicial review of the decision, while Section 6 specifies the governmental entity may apply to the district court for an order denying the record request of approving the amount of the fee charge. To conclude, I urge your support of AB 128. We need to make governmental transparency and accessibility a priority for this state, and establishing a public records ombudsman is a necessary step in that direction. Thank you for the opportunity to present this bill. I look forward to the dialogue that will continue to follow. And like I said, I'm willing to work with all of the stakeholders regarding their concerns. But I think at the end of the day, every person in this room wants government transparency, and we want access to that public information in a fair way. Currently, the issue is that when you have, when you are requesting a FOIA, once you need to appeal the decision that's made, you appeal it to that agency. So you are going back to that same agency that already said no and making that appeal for that public information. This creates, or you're going to court. This creates a mediation that I think would also save the state money in the future.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions? I do have one in former chair. Other states that have this position, whatever it's called, do you know if that has created some certainty or resulted in better consistency or expectations by people in this area, within public records area?
Thank you for the question. For the record, Assemblymember Torres Fawcett, I can't answer specifically to the outcome in those states, but what we did hear from the NCSL presentation during the interim just clarified that this is a solution that other states have used so that there is a remedy that doesn't involve this long, expensive court process in order for individuals to access public information.
Thank you so much for that. And we don't have any other questions. So, sorry, Assemblymember Kasama.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to see this bill. I know I've been talking about too, transparency in government and everything we can do to be, fully transparent with the public is so important. My question is, when we're talking about in section 4, if a person who's requested to inspect a copy or public record or record is denied, so just to clarify, when we talk about public record, because you were giving the example of Clark County School District, so this would be over the school districts, the local cities and municipalities, the counties, any public entity in the state of Nevada, is that correct?
Assemblymember Torres, Torres Fawcett, for the record, yes.
Thank you, that's great.
And we have a nope, okay, no, that's it. No other questions from the committee. Thank you so much for the presentation. We will now move on to testimony on the bill. Testimony can be provided in person here in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone. Further instructions for providing testimony on a bill can be found on the agenda. Each person has 2 minutes to provide testimony. And first, we will hear testimony here in Carson City in support of AB 128. Do we have anyone in Carson City in support who wishes to testify? Okay, moving to Las Vegas, do we have anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of AB 128? Seeing no one approach the table. AVH, do we have anyone on the lines to testify in support of AB 128?
To testify in support of AB 128, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Hello, my name is Michael Ryan, Michael-Ryan. I'm a longtime resident of Nevada and a Marine Corps veteran. Please vote yes on this important Assembly Bill 128. The Ombudsman can mediate complaints, investigate issues, and issue binding decisions on record access and fees. If a party disagrees with the ruling, they can challenge it in district court. I think this is a critical bill for the people, and I urge that you strongly support this bill and vote yes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ellen Gifford. On December 4th, 2023, a Nevada voter sent a public records request to the Nevada Secretary of State. 10 days later, instead of the statute required 5 days, on December 19th, 2023, the Secretary of State responded saying they expected to provide the requested records by February 23rd, 2024. On February 23, 2024, the Secretary of State requested an extension to April. In April, the Secretary of State requested an extension to June. In June, the Secretary of State requested an extension to July. In August, the Secretary of State requested an extension to September. In September, the Secretary of State requested an extension to October. In October, the Secretary of State requested an extension to November. In November, the Secretary of State requested an extension to January. On January 17th, 2025, the Secretary of State sent the same November 2024 memo requesting an extension to January. They apparently forgot to change the dates in that memorandum before the recycled spending. Today, in February of 2025, still no records have been provided. It's assumed the personnel responsible for performing this task receive a paycheck. Yet there is also a proposed bill, AB 51, requiring that Nevadans pay an additional fee for this task that is already in their job description, is not being performed properly, and is in violation of Nevada statutes. There is a dire need to pass AB 128. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and member of the Hardworking Committee. Good morning, Assemblywoman Member Torres Fawcett. It's so good to hear your voice. I appreciate you always. This is Dora Martinez. I'm with the Disability Peer Action Coalition, and we wholeheartedly support this bill. We are going through something similar that Assemblywoman Torres Fawcett was talking about, where the agency denied our request and we had to go back to them, and it's still awkward. So thank you so much for this common sense bill, and I sincerely hope that when you guys approve this goes forward and we work with the ombudsman, that they will know our disability and accommodate to our needs. So thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you, Madam Torres Fawcett.
Chair, we have no additional callers in support at this time.
Thank you, AVH. We will now move on to testimony in opposition of AB 128. We will start here in Carson City. Please approach and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Considine, members of the committee. Warren Hardy here today representing the Nevada Urban Consortium, which is made up of the 5 large cities, Las Vegas, Henderson, Reno, Sparks, and North Las Vegas. We're here in opposition under the committee rules. We have met with Chair Torres Fawcett and appreciate her willingness as always. She's always wonderful to work with on these issues. You know, local government takes the responsibility they have for providing public records very seriously. We have staff members that work tirelessly to try to do the job properly. But I would ask the committee if, as you work through this issue, to understand a couple of things. Transparency, as has been stated, is very, very important to a functioning, effective democracy. We agree with that statement 100%. But personal privacy of the citizens of the country is also critically important to an effective democracy. There are certain things about you and about your constituency that should not be made public. Some of those things are necessarily in the possession of governmental entities. And so we also take very seriously the requirement, the responsibility, the stewardship we have to make sure that information that is not necessary for the public to have is not put out. So that's the balancing act we have as local governments. I'm always interested when I hear what are they hiding? We're not hiding anything. We're trying to do our job. We're trying to protect the public. We've had this conversation with Chair Torres Fawcett. She understands that balancing act and has been amazing to work with. I would also indicate that the overwhelming majority, the vast majority of public records requests that come into the public are filled in a very, very timely manner and quickly done. So again, I appreciate the time. And the last thing I would add, if you'll just
2 minutes is up, so make it quick.
okay, just understand that not all requests that come from the public have pure intent. Some are for business reasons, some are for nefarious reasons, and so that makes our job very difficult. We're trying to balance transparency and your privacy. Thank you.
Chair and members of the committee, my name is Joshua Martinez. I represent the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm going to turn it over to our Assistant General Counsel down south, Matthew Christian. He will be able to talk about the bill and why we stand in opposition at this time, and we're willing to work with the bill sponsor.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Again, this is Matt Christian, Assistant General Counsel at Las Vegas Metro Police. Again, I would just like to reiterate our appreciation for any attempt whatsoever to make the process of responding to public records requests go any more smoothly or more efficiently. The more efficient and the more smooth the possible, the better for us. To reiterate what Mr. Hardy said, there is this tension that exists in responding to public records requests and making sure there's transparency, but with also protecting privacy interests of individuals. When disagreements arise with requesters, it's invariably because there is a strong privacy interest at stake. And under Nevada law, there's a lack of clarity. So it's hard to know sometimes whether something is private or not. And so that's where the disagreements come. We feel strongly that there's hope and promise in the concept of an ombudsman. If the goal is to make the process go more smoothly for everybody, we think that there really could be some benefits to it. The main reason that we're right now in opposition to it, I think, is because under current law, the only remedy would be to litigate. Under the bill as proposed, as it's written today, the requester has a choice. They can use the ombudsman or they can still choose to litigate. We think that they would still always choose to litigate because under current law, there's a very strong incentive to litigate because if at the result of litigation, if the requester prevails in any minor way, they are the prevailing party under the current law, and that entitles them to attorney's fees. So if the goal is to steer disputes towards an ombudsman to make the process go more smoothly, we think a better approach would be something more like court annexed arbitration. The way that works is if you file a lawsuit and it's seeking less than $50,000, you immediately get sent to arbitration. If that's a more efficient process. If you don't like the result, you can always go back to court. But you have to be careful because if you don't do better than the arbitrator's decision, then that's where the fee shifting comes in terms of the attorney's fees.
Thank you.
So we think
That
that's
is
a
your
better
2 minutes.
approach.
If you could quickly wrap that up.
Yes. Yeah, and I understand there's a lot of other logistical issues with the bill, and we do appreciate working with the sponsor on resolving those. So that hopefully we can be in support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We will continue with opposition in Carson City. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Jennifer Berthiaume. That's Berthiaume, Government Affairs Manager at the Nevada Association of Counties, or NACO, whose members represent all 17 counties. Our members, as well as our affiliate members, the Nevada District Attorneys Association, would like to thank Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for bringing this bill forward and her willingness to work with all stakeholders. While we have concerns regarding the bill in the current form, we do look forward to continuing our work with the sponsor. Counties support the goals of ensuring accountability and transparency while complying with federal privacy standards and protecting sensitive public-facing security and safety protocols, as well as complex employment and human resource matters that have the potential of becoming public records under the provisions of this bill, leading to our current opposition. We do, however, look forward to ongoing stakeholder involvement on AB 128. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Constantine and members of the committee. I'm Bob Conrad, and I sit on the boards of the Nevada Open Government Coalition and the Nevada Press Association. I am speaking today on behalf of both groups. We would like to express our appreciation to Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for her effort on this bill and her dedication to government transparency. AB 128 is very well intentioned, and it has several important provisions we're supporting. And these include independent reviews of records, disputes, and the ability to subpoena government officials for those records. In its current form, however, we are looking forward to working with the sponsor of the bill on amendments. We have several areas that we have that we would like to see changed, including the ombudsman being appointed by the governor. So I know my colleagues at the Nevada Press Association and the Open Government Coalition are looking forward to working with you to revise this bill to address our concerns. Please let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good to see you, members of the committee. For the record, Trey Abney, T-R-A-Y-A-B-N-E-Y, here today representing the Nevada Broadcasters Association. I want to associate myself with the comments made by Mr. Conrad, the Nevada Press Association, the Nevada Open Government Coalition. We agree the intent of this bill is excellent. We want to move forward with that. Certainly, there's some things that need to be worked out as far as the details of the bill, and I want to especially thank Interim Chair Torres Fawcett for the grace she gave me. I let her know very late yesterday that we were kind of late to the game on this bill, but partnering up again with the Press Association and hope to work through these issues. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your time. I appreciate you.
Good morning, Kent Irvin, KENT-ERVIN, Nevada Faculty Alliance, the Independent Association of Professional Employees at Nevada's public colleges and universities. We would really like to be here in support of this bill. The Nevada Public Records Act has strong provisions, but it also allows government entities to stall or avoid full compliance and transparency. We appreciate the bill being brought forward. As representatives of faculty at the Nevada System of Higher Education, an organization not known for full transparency, we occasionally submit public records requests and help members to do so. While some entities within NSHE are cooperative, we have also encountered excessive delays, denials for questionable reasons, and redaction beyond recognition. Having an independent ombudsman to help requesters and the governmental entities know and apply the rules and avoid expensive litigation would be wonderful. However, for the reasons stated by Mr. Conrad, AB 128 is not yet acceptable in its present form. It could lead to more litigation. We hope amendments will come forward that will allow us to support this good idea. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to AB 128? Not seeing anyone, we will now move to Las Vegas. Las Vegas, if you would like to testify in opposition, please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Considine and committee members. My name is Dr. Luann Holmes, and I'm the city clerk for the city of Las Vegas. I'd like to note my opposition to AB 128, and I offer our support to the sponsor with the goal of improving the bill. At this time, I'd like to introduce my esteemed colleague, Patricia Cabrera. She's the Enterprise Records Officer for the city of Las Vegas, who will be providing testimony on behalf of the city of Las Vegas.
Good morning, Chair Considine and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Again, my name is Patricia Cabrera, and I serve as the Enterprise Records Officer for the City of Las Vegas, a position I've held for almost 8 years. I am here to oppose AB 128 because it creates unnecessary bureaucracy, imposes costly burdens on local governments, and disrupts an already effective public record system. The City of Las Vegas adheres to the requirements of the Nevada Public Records Act and continually works to ensure transparency and accessibility in handling public records requests. We have proven, transparent, and efficient systems to process records requests fairly and promptly. AB 128 does not improve public records access. It only adds an extra layer of bureaucracy, slowing response times and creating confusion. This bill introduces a state-level ombudsman with broad investigative powers, subpoena authority, and the ability to override local decisions. This is redundant because existing laws already provide a clear legal process for challenging denied requests. Adding another intermediary creates more delays and inefficiencies rather than solutions. Beyond procedural issues, AB 128 carries significant hidden costs for cities like Las Vegas. Compliance will require more legal staff, increased mediation participation, IT system updates, and training programs. The city estimates this would cost between $165,000 to $530,000 per year, a financial burden that takes away resources from public safety, infrastructure, and community services. In short, AB 128 is a solution in search of a problem. It undermines the work of trained local records officers and shifts authority away from municipalities that already comply with the law. If the goal is to improve records access, we should focus on investing in technology and streamlining local processes, not adding unnecessary oversight. I urge the legislature to reject AB 128 and instead support initiatives that enhance efficiencies without imposing unnecessary costs on local governments.
And
Thank you
I'm
for your
sorry,
time
just-
and consideration.
Perfect, thank you.
Good morning, Chair Considine and the committee. My name is, excuse me, my name is Benjamin Lipman. I'm the Chief Legal Officer of the Las Vegas Review Journal. Like the Nevada Press Association and the Nevada Open Government Coalition, whose testimony we agree with and whose testimony I will try not to repeat too much of, we are in favor of anything that increases transparency in the state of Nevada and that improves the system by speeding it up and making it less costly for those seeking public records. To that end, the goals of this statute, of this bill, are ones that we support wholeheartedly. We do think that the bill as currently written has some problems that will actually undermine transparency, some of which have already been noted, the most important of which is the general structure of who is being appointed to make these decisions and how they're being appointed. Our greatest concern is that anyone making these decisions is shielded from politics and is somebody who we can all trust believes in the public policy in the statute of furthering transparency. In addition to that overall structure, we're concerned that the way the statute is written right now, it will potentially cost more money and take more time, as well as remove some of the pressure that the Nevada Public Records Act places on governmental entities to ensure transparency, such as providing for fees and other issues like that, and ensuring that the party seeking the records has control of whether the process goes forward rather than allowing the opportunity for them to be dragged through a process they either do not want or no longer want to be.
That is your 2 minutes.
part of.
If you could wrap that up, thank you.
Yes, thank you. To wrap up, we are looking forward to working with the sponsor and anyone else to fix the statute, fix the bill so that it does accomplish the stated goals of increasing transparency. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition to AB 128? Seeing no one else approach the table. AVH, we will move to opposition on the lines. Is there anyone on the phone lines?
Chair, the public line is open and working. We have no callers for opposition of AB 128 at this time.
Thank you. We will now move to neutral. Is there anyone here in Carson City that wants to testify in neutral on AB 128? Seeing no one approach, is there anyone in Las Vegas that wishes to testify in neutral? Seeing no one approach, AVH, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in neutral on AB 128?
The public line is open and working. We have no callers for neutral of AB 128 at this time.
Thank you so much. And Chair, would you like to make any final presentation remarks?
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. It's great to be back in the hardest working committee. And, I don't think it's too often that you can see the local governments and the Press Association, Open Government Coalition all agree. But I look forward to working with everybody so that we can find a recommendation that will improve government transparency. Ultimately, during the interim, we heard case after case of issues presented by some of the people that testified in opposition today of the issues with the current request for public records. Additionally, we heard case after case from local governments of overly burdensome requests that they are consistently getting from members of the public that are unnecessary. Things like every email from whatever your email started. And it's just overly burdensome and time consuming for their staff. And it requires them to go through this very tiresome process. And so at the end of the day, it seems that there is a need for us to have an office like this. I think we're getting, the devil is lost in the details though. And so I'm committed to continuing to work with stakeholders. I have a stakeholder meeting already in the book. So if you plan to be a policy stakeholder on AB 128, please reach out to my office as soon as possible because we already have a meeting scheduled for next Monday so that we can have a working group on this, so that we can have a recommendation for something that's going to really improve access to public records here in the state of Nevada. So I look forward to seeing an outcome and a solution that helps improve that transparency here in the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to have you back into the. Okay, I will now close the hearing on AB 128, and we will now move to public comment. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephone. Microphone's not happy with me today, so I will just go over this again. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. Instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 822-8917-0839, and then press pound when prompted for a participant ID. Each person has 2 minutes to provide testimony. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment here in Carson City? Seeing no one approach the table, is there any public comment in Las Vegas? Seeing no one in Las Vegas? AVH, is there anyone on the lines for public comment today?
If you'd like to provide public comment, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. The next meeting will be Wednesday, February 26th at 8 a.m. here in this room, room 4100, and that concludes our meeting for today. The meeting is adjourned.